Hey everybody, this is Bob, KK4DIV, and today I'm going to give you my review of the Ailunce HD1 DMR radio. Real quick, let's talk about what this radio is and what it isn't. The Ailunce HD1 DMR radio, I'll go ahead and say it, is made in China. But that is not necessarily a bad thing. This radio is very well made. It's got good quality. We'll talk about what I think about the quality here in a few moments. But this radio retails, the base model retails for $189. You can get it with the GPS for $199. You can get the base model with an extra battery for $199. That's right, that's the base model with an extra battery for just $10 more than the base model. So $10 for an extra battery is well worth it. I think that'd be a worthwhile investment. And then you can get the HD1 with the GPS and an extra battery for $209 from their website. Now that's current pricing here in January 2019. That may change in the future, but as of the making of this video, that is the price. So yeah, it's not a cheap radio. It's not your most expensive handheld radio out there, but it is it's a nice, moderately priced, well-made radio. It is DMR, it is FM, so you do get that capability out of it. And at that price point, it puts it up there, almost getting to your Yaesu, some of your Yaesu radios, and your Icom radios and things like that. So it gets it out of that cheap radio category and puts it up there with some of your big name brand radios, and I think this can compete with them. It's very well made and it's a good radio. Alright folks, let's first talk about the weight of this radio. As I mentioned in my unboxing video, the weight is, it's not too heavy, but it gives a real sense of quality, I guess you could say. It's got a little bit of heft to it. It fits the hand nicely. It's not too small. It's not too large. It's just a good, well-made radio. And I would say the weight is probably one of my favorite things about the radio, is just the weight and the way it fits in the hand. The next thing I like about this Ailunce HD1 radio is the battery life. Now, I'll cover that a little bit more in the specs, but I can tell you on receive this battery will last almost 2 days. Transmitting on and off, it will still last well over a day. Just very impressed with the battery life on this radio. And the battery comes off, there's a little button here on the bottom you can kind of lift up and then the battery will slide off the back. But you can see that's a pretty large battery, takes up most of the back there. It is 3,200 milliamp hours, so plenty of battery life in this radio. I've been very pleased with that, very impressed. Something I do like very much about the radio is the battery capacity. Let's talk about the knobs on this DMR radio here, the HD1. It's got two knobs at the top, just next to the antenna. The middle knob is for your VFO and changing the channels, and the outer knob here on the right is the volume and power. I will say something about these knobs. They feel like they're very, they're higher quality than you'd find in some of your other handheld radios. On the volume knob, there's a little bit of resistance. Not hard to turn, but it just feels like a quality knob. I like the way it feels. The channel knob gives very distinct clicks when you're changing it.
4, 5, 6.
I just
5, 4,
like the way it feels. So I give the knobs on this very good rating. Unlike some of the other, like I said, the other handhelds I have where they just feel kind of cheap. These feel like they're a good quality. So that kind of goes along with so far everything that I've said about the radio, with the quality being top notch in my opinion. All right, the next thing I'm going to talk about this radio is the color screen. It is a little small, and yeah, outside it's a little hard to see in bright sunlight, but I do like it. Gives plenty of information. Inside it's very easy to read. I have no problems reading the information on there. You got your A band and the B band easily or well displayed on here is what I should say. You've got large numbers for the channel name, large numbers for your frequency at the, as well. Gives you all the information you need on here. It will tell you your power, what mode you're in, whether you're on FM or DMR. It tells you what time slot you're in. If you're on DMR, time slot 1. Tells you which channel position you're in, channel 2 with the talk group 3176. That's my channel name up there. And it will also tell you which zone you're in. So I have the top band is my open spot zone. The bottom band, just the same. I have that set for the Panama City repeaters. So you can see it says PC repeater in the zone. It gives you the channel slot. Tells me I'm in low power, wide for wide FM. Tells me it's CTS. Tells me I have a tone put in here, which is a 100 hertz tone, and FM. Now if I switch the bands, that's not what I wanted to do. If I switch the bands to the bottom band when I key up, it will tell me what frequency I keyed up and the tone for the FM band, and then for the DMR, when I key it up, it will tell me which talk group and all of that. So very cool screen. Just wish it was a little bit easier to read in daylight. But other than that, I think that screen is easy to read inside and gives you plenty of information, everything you need to know about operating the radio. All right, the interface port on this radio is located on the right-hand side. If you're looking at the front of the radio, it's on the right-hand side, opposite of the push-to-talk button. I do like this. I didn't like it at first because you have to unscrew it with a flathead screwdriver to access the port. However, upon a little bit further thinking and a little bit more research, and once I found out a little bit more about this port, it's waterproof. This whole radio is kind of watertight. That's a waterproof port. I like that hard plastic cover now that I think about it. Some of my other radios, the cover has broken off. They're like little rubber covers and things like that that cover the ports, and they break off over time. This isn't going to break off. That's on there solid. So I do like that. It's from what I understand, it's a similar port that Motorola uses. That's what I've heard, but I do like that port on the side of the radio. So good thumbs up to that as well. Since we just talked about the side port and how that helps maintain the unit's waterproof capabilities, I would like to mention that it is IP67 waterproof. That means it should be good for 1 meter of water for 30 minutes. I'm not going to go out and throw it in a pool or anything like that, but if you splash anything on it, or if you do drop it in a puddle of water, anything like that, even if maybe you're in a boat, getting off a boat, and it falls in water that's just a couple feet deep, you should be good for up to 30 minutes. So that is another great feature about this radio. Let's talk about the programming cable. Yeah, this is it's about 3 feet long that you get with the radio. That's the end that goes in the radio, and the thing I like about this is where you have to take off the dust cover with a flathead screwdriver. It is slotted for a flathead screwdriver, but it gives you enough purchase on there so you can screw that in with your thumb. It's a little thumb screw, and you can screw that in with your thumb. You don't need a screwdriver for it. The end that goes in the computer is just that. It's the end that goes in a computer. One thing I did notice about this cable when I plugged it into my computer, I didn't need to install any drivers, which was a big surprise to me. On their website, if you do have to install drivers, they do give you the drivers for the HD1 programming cable on their website. So no problem there if your computer doesn't recognize the programming cable. Let's talk about the menus a little bit on this radio. The menus can be activated by hitting the menu button, and there's several different menus here. There's a main set, your band A, band B set, messaging menu, your call log, contacts, radio ID, FM radio, GPS, encryption, version, and then you're back up to the top. Everything you need to do with this radio, programming it, can be done from the menu, which is a big benefit. I did not do it that way. I used the programming software, which I think is probably going to be a little bit easier, because you can just create your whole program right there on the computer, use your programming cable, and shoot it over to the radio. But if you're out there mobile or portable, you can program this on the fly, which I think is a fantastic capability that you don't get with some radios. Some radios are pretty hard to program on the fly. I'm thinking D-Star. But not so with this radio. This radio is pretty easy. All right, let's talk about the things that I'm not really a fan of with this radio, and there's not very many, and in my opinion, you know, while I may not like these things, it's certainly not a deal breaker on this radio. I still think this radio is a very good radio. But let's talk about the first thing. The antenna. It's stiff. You know, I don't know. I like an antenna that's got a little bit more give to it. That way, if it's clipped on my belt, it's not going to catch on things and try to rip off my belt. If you have a more flexible antenna, it has a little bit more give. This just, I don't like these real stiff antennas, but not a deal breaker. I can certainly live with it, and I can always change the antenna later if I want to. No problem, you know. It's just something I would have rather have had is a little bit more flexible antenna. All right, another thing I'm not a real big fan of is the screen. Wait, I know what you're saying. Well, didn't you just say that you liked the screen? Yes, I do like the screen because it gives you plenty of information. The information is easy to read on there, no problems there. The things I don't like about the screen, it is a little bit small. I wish the screen was just a little bit bigger. And it is a little bit hard to read outside in the sunlight. So those two things are things about the screen I don't care for. Again, it's not a deal breaker. If you turn the radio just right, you can read it in the sunlight. You know, you can shade it with your hand, that sort of thing. But I just wish it was a little bit bigger and maybe a little bit easier to read in the sunlight. These color screens like this, it's just the nature of the beast. They're all, in my opinion, a little bit hard to read in the sunlight. Even my, you know, cell phone is in bright sunlight. You get a glare. It's difficult to see it. It's not like a black and white LCD display, but I do like the color because it does make it easier on the eyes when you're inside. But yeah, just another little quirk, you know, about me, basically me and the radio. Just wish it was a little bigger. Wish I could read it outside. Again, not a big deal. Not a deal breaker. Okay. The last thing about the radio, and y'all might laugh at me a little bit, and y'all might agree with me. I don't know. It's kind of ugly. And it's not a real sleek and sexy looking radio. It's grown on me. I will say that. It has grown on me because when I first opened it up, I'm like, ugh, that's kind of funky looking. But it's grown on me. It's very functional. Everything works fine on it. It's got little ears. I call them ears up here at the top. I'm not sure what that is. I could have done without that. Just made it a little bit more sleek on the side. If that would have been gone, you know, I think that would have made it look a lot better. But that's what caught my eye first. I said, what are those ears up there? And what's their purpose? And why are they there? I don't know. Maybe there is a good reason for them to be there. I don't know. But yeah, just the initial sight of it, I don't know, what is that? But like I said, it has grown on me. But again, that is a minor thing. The functionality of this radio is not affected by my opinion on how those little ears up there look or anything. Still, just a little quirk, but still, good radio. All right, let's talk about the specs for this Ailunce HD1 radio. Now, I'm not going to go through all the specs of this radio. There's lots of them, but I'm going to hit some of the ones that are important to me and that I think are important to you. First, let's talk about frequency range. This is a 2 meter and 70 centimeter radio. The frequency range on 2 meters is 136 to 174 megahertz, and on 70 centimeters, it's 400 to 480 megahertz. Now, one thing of interest to note, it is wide open on those frequencies, meaning you can transmit on any frequency in those ranges. And if you notice, a lot of that is outside of the ham band. So you got to be really careful with this radio where you're transmitting. So it's your responsibility as a ham radio operator to abide by all the laws regarding ham radio operation, amateur radio operation, and just make sure you're transmitting in your frequency allocation for wherever you may be. Woo, buddy. Man, you know how many channels this thing will hold? 3,000 channels. 3,000 channels. Man, I don't know 3,000 anything, but this will hold 3,000 channels. That's quite a few. Those channels are arranged in 256 zones, and you can put 64 channels per zone. So just a way of organizing your channels into those zones. And like I said, 256 zones, 64 channels per zone, and overall 3,000 channels. That's a lot of capability, lots of memory in this radio right here. Now, the battery is a lithium ion 7.4 volt 3200 milliamp hour battery. Gives you plenty of power for what you'll need in this radio. The antenna is a reverse SMA antenna. I've already talked a little bit about the antenna. It is a little bit stiff, but it is a reverse SMA. So like a lot of your other radios, it's going to be easy to find a replacement antenna if you need one, or if you desire to change it out because you might not like it because it's a little stiff. But 50 ohm impedance, reverse SMA antenna. All right, here's something you may like. This radio is a 10 watt output on VHF for high. 10 watts. You don't get that out of very many handheld radios. But it's 8 watts on high for UHF, 10 watts on high for VHF. The mid-range is 3.5 watts and low is 1 watt. So you get plenty of output power with this radio. And the last thing I'd like to mention is it does do wideband and narrowband FM. So if you're in an area where narrowband FM is needed, it does provide the capabilities for narrowband FM. All right, to sum it up, I've been very impressed with the Ailunce HD1 radio. I was a little bit skeptical at first, but once I got it, I opened it up. Super impressed with the build quality, with the overall feel of the radio. It's like I said, it feels good in the hand. It's got a good weight to it. It just, you know, the plastic doesn't feel cheap. It feels like something that is well engineered, well made, and something that's going to last for many years down the road. And I look forward to further use of this radio. This is a fine little radio. Like I said, weight feels good. The battery gives you plenty of battery life. The knobs are well made. They just feel like they're very well made. The color screen, while a little bit small, does give you plenty of information on there, so it's easy to read and see everything you need to see about the radio. The interface port on the side, while I didn't like it at first, it's won me over, I guess you could say. The USB cable, never had to install a driver on my computer. Yours may be different. But just very easy to use, very easy to program. Just been very impressed with this radio. So I'm going to give this radio a big thumbs up from me. I do recommend it. You can go to the Retevis website and check it out. There's going to be a link in the description down below to go there and check out that radio. You can read a little bit more about it. You can purchase it from their website if you decide you want one. But definitely well worth it. And from what I've heard from other people, they're kind of in agreement. They like this radio. So go check it out, everybody. All right, I'd like to thank everybody for watching my video today. Appreciate you tuning in, and remember to give this video a thumbs up if you like what you see. Subscribe to my channel, and if you like to see more videos like this, remember to go visit my Patreon page and donate a little bit to the cause there if you feel like you need to. So I'd like to say 73, everybody. Remember, if you're a ham radio operator, hope to catch you on down the log, and we'll see you in a future video. This is Bob KK4 DIV. Until next time.